All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're diving into the brilliant, mind-bending world of Zhuangzi, an ancient Daoist sage whose ideas are designed to turn everything you think you know completely on its head. We're talking about strength, purpose, even reality itself. So get ready to unlearn, well, pretty much everything.
So let me ask you something right off the bat. Think about a part of yourself you've always seen as a flaw, maybe something you're a little insecure about. Got it? Okay. Now, what if that's not a weakness at all? What if it's secretly your greatest strength? Just hold on to that thought.
To really get what I'm talking about, our first story from Zhuangzi is all about perspective. It's designed to completely shatter our sense of scale. And man, does it start big. So, picture this. We're in this deep, dark northern ocean. And there's this fish called Kun. But forget any fish you've ever seen. We're not talking about a whale here. Zhuangzi says this thing is thousands of miles long. It's less a fish and more like a living, swimming continent. It's so vast, it just breaks your mind's ability to even process it.
And just when you think you've wrapped your head around that, it gets even crazier. This colossal fish begins to transform. It becomes a bird, the Peng. And this bird is just as impossibly huge. Its back is thousands of miles across, and when it unfurls its wings, they're like storm clouds gathering on the horizon, blocking out the sky.
Okay, but here's the real kicker. This is where the whole point of the story just snaps into focus. You've got these tiny creatures on the ground, a cicada, a little dove. They look up at this magnificent bird preparing for its epic journey south, and they laugh. They think it's ridiculous. You know why? Because their entire world, their whole reality, is the distance between one tree and the next. The idea of a 90,000-mile journey isn't just impossible to them, it's a joke.
And that's the question Zhuangzi throws right back at us, isn't it? How often are we the cicada? How often do we laugh at an idea, a dream, a possibility, simply because it's bigger than our own little branch? Are our ambitions being limited by what we can see right in front of us?
So we've just messed with your idea of big and small. Now, get ready, because this next story is going to do the same thing to your whole concept of what is valuable and what is useless.
So imagine an expert carpenter, the best in the business. He's walking through a forest looking for that perfect wood. You know, straight, strong, useful stuff for making houses and boats. He comes across this absolutely enormous, ancient tree and just walks right past it. Doesn't even give it a second look. Why? Well, because it's all twisted and gnarled, completely useless for his craft. And this is the genius of it. The story goes that the tree later appears to the carpenter in a dream and explains its secret. It basically says, all those straight, perfect trees you admire, they were all chopped down long ago. For me, being useful would have been a death sentence. It is because I was useless to you that I was able to live this long and grow this magnificent. You see the incredible paradox here? Every single thing that makes it a bad tree for a carpenter is exactly what allows it to fulfill a different, maybe even higher purpose. It can't be used for beams, so its crooked branches provide shade for travelers. Because it has no practical use, it's left alone to simply be. Its greatest flaw is the very source of its freedom and its true value. Okay, you with me? Because we're about to go even deeper down the rabbit hole. This next one is probably Zhuangzi's most famous thought experiment of all. We've questioned size, we've questioned value, now we're going to question reality itself. Zhuangzi tells us about a dream he had. In this dream, he wasn't a philosopher. He was a butterfly, just flitting from flower to flower, totally happy, totally free. And in that moment, the identity of Zhuangzi just didn't exist. There was only the butterfly living its butterfly life.
Then, suddenly, he woke up, and he was himself again, Zhuangzi. But here comes the question that has puzzled people for centuries. How could he be absolutely sure? Was he Zhuangzi, who had just been dreaming he was a butterfly, or is he actually a butterfly who is now dreaming that he's a man named Zhuangzi? The solid line between reality and dream just dissolves.
So, yeah, if we can't be sure what's big or small, useful or useless, or even if we're awake or dreaming, then how in the world are we supposed to live? It's a fair question, right? Well, Zhuangzi's answer isn't a list of rules. It's another story. A story about a very special kind of skill. He tells us about a butcher named Ding, who was a true master of his craft. And Ding explains his journey. He says, when I first started,
All I could see was the ox, just this big, solid obstacle. But after a few years, my perception changed. I stopped seeing the whole ox. I started seeing the spaces in between. And now, he says, I don't even look with my eyes. My spirit moves, my hand follows the natural lines, the gaps that are already there.
And get this. Here's the proof. He's been using the very same knife for 19 years. He's cut up thousands of oxen with it, and the blade is still perfectly sharp, like it just came off the whetstone. How is that even possible? It's because he never forces it. He never hits a bone, never grinds against a tendon. His knife just glides through the empty spaces. There's no resistance, so the blade never gets dull.
That effortless action, that perfect state of flow, that is Zhuangzi's vision for living in harmony with the Tao, or the Way. It's the natural underlying pattern of the universe. The butcher succeeded not by fighting against the ox's structure, but by understanding it so well that he could move with it. It's about stopping the struggle against the world and learning to move within its natural grain.
And this brings us to the ultimate goal, the whole point of all these stories. It's a state of being Zhuangzi calls free and easy wandering. Think about it. It's the vast, limitless perspective of the Peng bird. It's the stubborn freedom of the useless tree. And it's the effortless skill of the master butcher, all rolled into one. It's about living a life that flows with the current, not one that's constantly fighting against it. Which brings us right back to where we started it. That thing you thought was a weakness, that useless part of your personality that doesn't quite fit. What if it's not something to be fixed? What if it's the very thing that keeps you from being crammed into a box you were never meant for? What if, like that gnarled old tree, it's the secret to your freedom and to living a truly magnificent life? Definitely something to think about.